with Roundabout Cast episode 37, I think. Getting out of track here because time is relevant these days, and we're also behind on uploading. So it's like I have so many videos on my hard drive, at risk of being deleted accidentally, which I would never do, except that one time where I did. It's your host Willer, who deletes videos.
I am Bradley, a young blonde mage from Demacia, a land in which mages and magic is not allowed. So I got recruited by the fucking army, and they're gonna send me out on adventures so I can use my magic, but I'm not in Demacia and I'm still serving them. So it's kind of fucking cool.
Is this Summer Wars?
No, it's Lux.
Okay, all right. I was
why bullshit D&D character.
Why Lux today? Anyways, hi Bradley.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I am Thou.
Thou art I. That's
I'm Tyler.
One.
I'm a slimy macaroni noodle.
Oh,
Ooh.
damn.
Ooh.
Cool. Well, this is the Roundabout Cast, the podcast where we talk about random shit that we've been doing lately. Still deep in the quarantine, so this is part of the quarantine saga.
Saga continues.
Hopefully it has a cool final boss at the end.
Man, I'm really hoping that Odichi-chan, who's writing this, really comes full circle with its themes.
Oda would never write us into... Well, actually, he would. He's so sadistic. Okay.
I said Odichi-chan, not Oda, but okay.
I know, but we know what you're referencing to. Hey, you know what's hot during the pandemic?
Yeah!
Tiger King!
Tiger King!
Everyone's fucking obsessed with Tiger King.
Tiber King.
Tiger King. Let's talk about it.
King Tiger.
Yeah, and so the interesting thing about this is so me and apparently most of America really fucking enjoyed watching this, and I do think it's really entertaining. I don't have a ton to say about it because it's not like we're, dissecting this.
I got some
piece of art that someone made.
We could just react to the nonsense that is the Tiger King. Tiger King.
Hey, cool.
Tiger King, by the way, is a Netflix docu-series that blew up, and you've heard of it.
You've seen it.
Yeah, you've probably seen
Fucking
it.
Carol Baskin out here.
What else are you doing these days?
Goddamn Carol Baskin.
I was supposed to open with "Hello, all you cool cats and kittens."
Oh,
All right, restart the podcast. Hey,
All right,
welcome
I'm
to
ready.
Roundabout Cast episode 39. Hello, you cool cats and kittens.
Everyone, please dislike the video.
All right, so Tiger King.
What about it? All right. So I have some qualms with Tiger King, but we'll talk about
shit.
They're not major qualms, but this shit's crazy. I thought, I'm not a big documentary person, but I put this on because everyone was talking about it, and I thought it was really enjoyable. But it's on the level of reality TV trash, I feel.
It is.
Maybe that's what's so captivating.
I think so.
This is like Netflix. I watch a lot of documentaries.
Me
I love
too.
documentaries.
Yeah.
Green Mountain is a really good one. I think it's Death Mountain. It's on Netflix. It's about anyway, not here to promote that.
We'll do documentary shout outs at the end because I got some.
It is, like Joe said, it is borderline reality TV, and the way they set this up is the same way they did Making a Murderer, because it follows, I feel like, that same flow that Making a Murderer did, where it keeps tugging you left and right. It's like, it is Joe Exotic right? Is Carol Baskin right? And it tugs you between these two people the entire time by withholding information.
And every few episodes, it's like, oh, we haven't even talked about big plot twist.
Yeah.
And then it keeps you hooked.
So it does a good job in that sense. It's very good at keeping you hooked by withholding information, but like Joe says, it does feel reality TV in that instance.
I think that's one thing that the documentary did really good, was that it made a very good story structure of what it was trying to tell. And I feel like the first 3 episodes feel kind of more like just set up towards this kind of climactic kind of conflict near the end, and it's very much it's more of it starts to get a lot of biases, I feel, during it, and certain episodes as well. The Carol Baskin episode for sure had a huge heavy bias on it, I feel, whenever I was watching it.
Episode 3.
Yeah, episode 3. The most the most memed episode of the entire series.
I
But
really
yeah,
feel like what should be taken away from this is if you have any bias towards either group, you shouldn't. Both of them were like cult minds.
yeah,
All three of them
All
actually
three
are
of them.
cult minds.
Because I think the less talked about group is actually the creepiest of them all.
yeah.
Yeah, the dude with all the chicks.
I believe
Doc?
Doc. Yeah.
Yeah. Doc's mega creepy.
Yeah. Made them
But-
all have breast implants. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And they all are cult mentalities. You should not like any of these people. You should know that they are all bad people, except for 3 people in this show. Girl who gets her arm bitten off.
Saf.
Saf.
The guy with the robot legs.
Robot Leg Man.
He's still,
And-
yeah.
And the guy who found the job listing on Craigslist.
Yeah.
All 3 of these are the main protagonists
I
in the
like
story.
I like the guy who was Joe's ammo salesman and then ran his fucking presidential career. That was.
Oh, I love that smash cut.
He was like, that was the worst job of
Worst-
my life.
Yeah. It was like Joe's like, oh man, we're gonna do so much different. We're gonna make a difference out here. And then it says that those were the worst years of my life working for Joe Exotic.
Yeah,
I
there's
was
some good. There's some good edits.
Mhm.
This is the kind of document. So this documentary, they came in to film something about the tigers, and they came out with a completely different story. They're like, oh, there's a way more interesting story if you just turn the camera a couple degrees to the right.
180 degrees.
But it's kind of interesting that they also profit off these dying captive tigers and don't really do anything about the situation. While that was their start. It's poetic. It rhymes. Everyone makes money off these tigers.
It's strange too because like that was the other thing about this series is that this like a lot of documentaries I feel like they go in trying to I guess push a message or like kind of be like here's what's happening in the world right now, here's something you need to understand and think about or see if you can make a difference about. Sometimes it's not necessarily so, but like this series felt so much like just reality television and just kind of observing a story. It's much more closer to like a murder mystery story or documentary than like an environmental story. But like they're meshed together, and I think it's very interesting.
If I could give my critiques of this, I was not captivated by this like most people. I actually struggled to get through some of those middle episodes. I think this is getting the Rona boost.
Yeah.
Which is just like people have nothing to do and there's a lot of Twitter discourse over this. So that's my daily like socializing with people. So I have to do it. Meanwhile, I mean, I'm well prepared for such situation. So it's like, but also like Tyler was saying, I watch a good chunk of documentaries and this, I don't know. From episode 1, I got it. I was like, the thing about documentaries is that there's actual twists and turns where it's like, I literally can't believe this is happening. As soon as like episode 1 ends, I'm like, anything they say Joe did is not outside the bounds of what he did. Like, he is a crazy meth head. Like, sure, you can. He tried to murder Carol. Yeah, duh. Like, his boyfriends weren't actually gay. Yeah, duh. Like,
Yeah.
Like, none of it was particularly surprising, so I just kind of coasted along. And it was okay. I liked it.
The biggest shock to me was the guy accidentally killing himself in the office.
No.
No?
He's like, look, it's not loaded.
Of course. Yeah. Like, that's
Last
such
words.
I got to scare me.
Hot take, Carol did not murder her husband. I think I'm the only one who has this stance.
That's the other thing too, is that like I remember that episode vividly and going, this episode's extremely bias heavy against Carol. I feel like they do that because number one, I should mention that I still think she's on that level of crazy.
She's pretty crazy. No, she's definitely crazy.
Yeah.
But like it's like there's a extremely heavy have to like dive into this to try to almost villainize Carol to give some sort of sympathy to Joe, or to at least try to balance it out in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because like, but like the crazy thing for me with Carol was that like she doesn't pay the people that work for her. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
that's-
Doc, that's called a cult.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
She's also profiting off these tigers, just like Joe.
Yeah.
But like, Bradley, were you trying to say something? I felt I
Yeah, I
got
was
an
gonna
energy
say, like,
from you.
I don't think she killed her husband. Like, I'm not sitting here like, oh my god, I can't believe she killed her cousin. But if it came out that she did, I wouldn't be super surprised. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah. Okay,
I
yeah.
am worried
Sure.
for her though,
So-
because I'm like, millions of people watch this, and then some motherfucker is gonna be like, I'm gonna go dig up her fucking septic tank.
The septic tank.
But at the same time, I'm like, yo, these people do deserve harassment. They are all cult minds holding large cats on captivity.
The opposite happened. Carol's gonna get a lot of shit. Joe has fans now. Joe has like petitions to get him out of jail.
Joe also got Rona.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He really?
Joe did
Yeah,
get
Joe got Rona.
Joe got Rona. Oh, it's nothing to laugh about, but also it's kind of fun.
So the husband did vanish, right? That's like
So that's the thing. He said he wanted to vanish, and then he vanishes, and then the dude's like, "Oh, he wouldn't park his car there if he was gonna vanish." Is a dude who's going to vanish his mindset really that easy to follow? Like, and
Like-
then he changed his will so if he vanish, Carol will get the money. It seems more like Carol talked this guy into vanishing, and this guy's like, "I'm gonna be free from this crazy woman." All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Probably like South America with some like Nazi scientists.
He
No,
watched
he went
this
to Venezuela.
documentary. He watched this documentary in Costa Rica, just
Yeah.
cackling.
But yeah, like that was the most interesting part of the documentary for me. I'm like, stop it, full stop. I don't care about these characters anymore. I want to focus on this murder mystery.
Yeah,
Like,
I was only there
that's
for an
all I
episode.
want.
Yeah.
And I hope he did. I hope he isn't dead. Like, if he real like, here's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, he gave away millions of dollars. I'm like, he probably had millions more stashed down in the country, Costa Rica or Venezuela, where he kept going back and forth from.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's just his settlement. So, like, think of it this way: you want to get a divorce, or you want to disappear and just leave behind like 3 million, and you hold on to like 20 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
He's
About
hanging
that-
out with Tupac for sure.
Yeah. Hologram Tupac.
No, the real one who's hiding somewhere.
I hope he
I,
did vanish.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want anyone to die. But yeah, Doc Antle.
Doc
Just
is
like,
He
fucked.
can die.
Yeah. I got nothing. Because at least I like all you cool cats and kittens, and Joe has like some charm to him. Doc is just like, ooh, this guy's just
Doc-
creepy.
What makes Doc crazy is that so the thing about Joe's crazy and doesn't understand when he's fucking up. So you're like, okay, he's a fuck up. Carol has some sort of sweetness to her, so you're like, whatever. Doc is fully aware of what he's doing and knows how to make it look like he's not doing what he's doing.
Why in that interview where he's talking about the girls who works at his park, he's like, she's been here for 16 years, ever since she was 16. Why did he just keep shooting himself in the foot like a villain who knows he's getting away with it?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Because
tell.
he's been getting away with it
Away
since
with
like
it.
the 70s.
Exactly.
Nobody fucking cares.
It felt villainous.
Nobody cares.
And then he kept defending Joe too, but then also ridiculing him when he got caught. Like it was.
And to prove it's a cult mindset, look at how creepy Doc is. And they go and interview one of his ex-workers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she sits there and praises him. She's like, yeah, everything was fine. You know, like I had to get implants and I didn't know it, but I got a couple of days off work.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
worked out.
dude.
yeah.
And
They
I'm
worked.
like-
They worked so many hours a day for like what, $50 or
That's
like
the thing. Like, I feel like at all of these parks, these people were working like insane hours.
And Joe had this thing of collecting the broken people of society, and then feeding them. Okay, I will say one thing: Walmart meat was where I was like, whoa.
I know, right?
I mean,
If you take the meat up to the register, they can't put it back. They gotta throw it in the bin.
Insanity.
And then you just go to the fucking bin and grab the meat.
And then he
Yup.
put that on pizzas that he gave to people. Like,
Yeah.
it's not rancid meat though. Do you realize how much product like so whenever you go to
Yes,
I go to
fair.
the butcher at like our grocery store a lot. So they put on it sell by, like it has package date and it's like a week later it has to be sold. dude, I take that shit home. It sits in my fridge for like a month. It is fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Like,
it depends on the meat. It depends on the meat.
But something tells me that Joe is not checking if it's rancid or not. Like, you're opening up your chicken or your beef and inspecting it. Joe is just probably feeding it to everyone in a stew.
He's not paying it the same day that it's getting put into the bin. Some of it's probably been sitting there for a while. Like, in the hot...
At that fault, that's Walmart's fault for letting it sit out for a while.
My favorite part of that was the guy picked up the chicken nuggets like, shit, it's so cold. I'm taking that home.
Yeah.
I will say, though, I feel like that's a smart way to at least feed his tigers.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good way to, like, at least he went about, like, oh, this is a wasted product. Like, obviously, some of it was manipulatively wasted. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, oh, you know, here's this wasted product. We can buy it for cheap or take it.
I just imagine Joe sending his guys in, and they just like scoop all the meat into a shopping cart, walk up, and give them a fake or a bad credit card. And like, your card's been declined. Well, I can't pay for this. I'm sorry. And then they just walk out.
Yeah, imagine that. But imagine that like the 12th time. It's like, here they come. Yeah. Here they come.
You gotta think though. Like, wouldn't Walmart have stopped them? Wouldn't they have been declined like service? Like, you can't come in here?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That whole thing's fucked. Maybe they hit up multiple Walmarts too. They kept a rotation.
Maybe the manager was in on it.
Who knows? I want to close this off. Tyler, you got any good documentary recommendations?
There's one called Green Mountain on Netflix, I believe.
What's it about?
It's Death Mountain? Murder Mountain. That's the name of it. It's on Netflix, and it's about Northern California and Seattle's weed growing scene. So, talks about weed business on the West Coast, and it's basically this county is called Murder. It's like known as for Murder Mountain, and that's because this is like a county where all these hippies and like lost kids and lost children would come up to like find jobs in the weed industry, and people would disappear all the time. Sometimes like 30 missing people's cases like a year.
Wow, that's a lot.
And people just straight up vanish on this mountain. It follows some parents who like come to this town looking for their children and everything. It follows a couple of like industry, like weed industry people who are there before it's legal, and then like there after it's legal, and like the difficulties in that transition. There's some people who still grow illegally because according to some of them, it's not financially viable to do it legally unless you're like a mass producer.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's the Tyler Rec.
There's also another one on Hulu about like abandoned places. If you like abandoned porn or anything like that, you know, that's like a good Reddit.
Abandoned porn.
It's a subreddit.
Okay, it's not what it sounds like, is it? Okay, it's one of those.
Oh, it's like earth porn.
Okay.
Yeah. So similar.
People like abandoned malls and stuff. It's an aesthetic.
But it's not just malls like you see on like YouTube and stuff. It's gonna be like towns. Like there's this town in Alaska that's got barely anybody in it. Like I think it is just like a lot of abandoned towns. There are some abandoned malls, some abandoned like military bases and things like that. And I think it's just straight up called Abandoned on Hulu.
I'll have to check those out because I feel on a documentary kick right now.
Yeah,
if
documentary I watched in Indiana, or at least half of it, about people that are sexually attracted to objects. That's a interesting watch.
That's a ninja sex party song.
Yeah, but there is a real life documentary. Like, there's a girl in love with a plane, a girl in love with a certain attraction ride in Germany.
Oh yes. They got a divorce, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she divorced it.
That one's a wild ride. I would recommend. I think it's on YouTube, all of it. I don't remember what it's called.
I got some if people are looking for recommendations.
Hurt me up, fam.
Uh, you talked about making a murderer. I think that's a really good place to start if you're not into documentaries as much. It's like it's like pretty slow, but it's fascinating because there's so many Phoenix Wright style plots and twists and obstructions of justice and literal like turnabout moments. It's fascinating to watch. Season 1 in particular, season 2 is not as interesting, but it does a good job of showing you like all this evidence that comes to light. The story is unbelievable as you get deeper and deeper into it. Um, Another one I would recommend is Wild Wild Country, which is about a Oregon-based cult that was there in the 80s that
Ooh.
were pretty much domestic terrorists.
I love Colt.
Led by what was his name, Rajneesh or something. He's like a Indian guru guy who just attracted all these hippie kids into this cult, and then they murdered people, and then they danced weird, and it's really good. It's like 6 episodes, also on Netflix. And then finally The Jinx, which I don't recall what The Jinx is on. I watched it on like Daily Motion or something, but it's probably on somewhere. The Jinx is really good. It is a murder mystery that has maybe the best ending to any documentary I've seen. Ooh. I don't want to spoil it, but like the last couple of scenes of that documentary will leave you with your mouth wide open. It's
That's a Robert Durst.
Yes, it's about Robert Durst and how he murdered potentially his wife, a neighbor, and a friend. And then it ends with this interview with him that goes places.
Cool.
It's
on Hulu, by the way.
There you go.
I have like 2 more just to quickly throw out. I like got on my Netflix list. The Chef Show, if you want something lighthearted and fun. It's based off of the movie Chef, with Jon Favreau in it. So there's the movie called Chef, and he becomes a chef in a food truck. But then he just made the Chef Show, which is a documentary, after it, which has celebrities come on. So like a little bit similar to comedians and cars getting coffee.
It's a good vibe.
Oh shit! Sorry, I'll just throw that one out. Oh, what is it? Oh, the History Comedy on Hulu. It's fantastic if you love stand-up comedy.
Yeah. Well, all right. There's our Tiger King / documentary talk. I just saw on Reddit some guy dressed his kid up as Joe Exotic with 2 little tigers. It's a plague.
Like real tigers or like baby, like stuffed tigers?
God, I hope they're stuffed tigers. Yes, they are stuffed tigers.
Okay, thank God.
But all right, that's that. Next up, we got over the weekend I participated in the world's largest Pokemon tournament. It was held online.
Oh boy!
And this was really interesting. It was an interesting enough experience to talk about.
Willer's team was composed entirely of one Charizard because Charizard is the most powerful Pokemon. What else do you need?
And I won.
And he won. It was easy.
No one else thought to bring the most.
Not a problem. Barely
Pokemon.
an inconvenience.
So this is a large tournament held during these troubling times by one VGC Wolfie and a guy named A-Drive. They're both Pokemon dudes. Wolfie I like watching because he's a very good VGC player, which is the official format of Pokemon where it's 2v2 and you only bring 4 Pokemon and it's very fun. I think the game's definitely built around it. This tournament, I decided to sign up for it on a whim because I talked about before how I still enjoy playing Pokemon Sword online. It's got like the best features for you to just jump in and play online. The problem with this tournament was you have to bring a team that is not a rental team. You have to bring all your own Pokemon, which is tricky when you're like me, where you've been collecting a lot of Pokemon throughout the length of time this game has been out, but you haven't necessarily built a full team with all the Pokemon you've had. And I had a very busy week, so I had a very stressful Friday night. of trying to finalize my team, only to realize that 2 of the Pokemon I spent so much time finalizing couldn't be used because they were traded to me. And if they're traded from a different region, you can't actually use them online. Well, you can use them online, but you can't use them on ranked. And I wanted all these Pokemon to be ranked ready.
That reminds me.
And it was just this whole mess where I had to breed like a bunch of substitutes. I had to take the Pokemon and breed children who would then who would then be raised up to a fighting standard and be taken to the tournament.
Man, you thought Tiger King wouldn't be able to flow into this story? You're wrong.
I am not Joe Exotic. I love my Pokemon. And yeah, like, it was very fun. I had 0 sleep going into the tournament because I was up so late. I was up to like 5:40 a.m. and the tournament started at 9. So I got a quick rest in. And it was a very good experience. I want to do it again, even though I did very bad. Not a very bad. I went 2-4. The way the tournament works is actually pretty interesting. It was so big that you're put into 4 flights that are named after like champions. So I was in the Lance flight, and within your flight, you play up to 9 battles, and depending on your record, it's like a Swiss tournament. Depending on your record within those battles, you get put into the top 32 the day following. Mm-hmm. But because there are so many people, it's like to get into the top 32, you're going to have to get like a 7-2 record at worst, usually an 8-1 or 9-0. So a lot of people, like, they get their matches in early and they're like, oh, there's no way I could make it all the way to the end. And you play until you have your fill and then you jump out. So I played 6 matches and I won 2 of them with a very bad team, because rain teams are not good in this game, despite how much I've tried to make them work. But yeah, it was really fun, and this story somehow got Joe into playing Pokemon, which is interesting.
Willer sent me some like rental team codes, and I didn't understand how the online worked anymore. After playing it, I think it's really fun, especially because like there's always been a problem with like collectible games where if you don't have all the right pieces, it can be really tough to play the game because you're working with some sort of jank team that's not going to be at like a solid like 80% efficiency.
Yeah.
I think about a round where you have a good time of like, oh, like 80% of the time I can really get this to work, and then there's 20% of the time where it just falls apart. I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, you can live with that at least.
Yeah, and especially with Pokemon, because not only do you have to catch the Pokemon, you then have to train the Pokemon up, which is a lot easier in this game because of the candy system.
Thankfully, yeah.
Yeah. But there's still also a bunch of other nuances going into it, like EVs and IVs, and they've really not dumbed down, but streamlined that process a lot.
Yeah.
In terms, but
like it would have been unheard of for me to put that team together.
Yeah.
Again that night, but you can in this game. It just took a lot of the resources I had saved up.
And I don't know if you talked about this, Willer, but one thing that I really like too is that you can use the rental teams in the battle tower.
Yeah.
So you can grind the battle tower with those teams, which will help you unlock those. Well, let you know what the team's about and figure out what you need to do, and B, just like grind some points out to get those items you need for your actual Pokemon that you're training up, which I really, really like. Which
playing online also gives you that currency for those items. They have a good loop this time around.
I agree. Sword and Shield has a lot of problems with it, but I think they kind of looked at the competitive scene and like, all right, let's embrace this a little bit more and see how we can get more people involved in understanding.
I think they succeeded considering how big this tournament was by time.
Yeah. I just wish that the game itself focused more on 2v2s and tried to get you to think about that.
Here's the thing. There's a game out there that focuses on 2v2s, and we all played it, and none of us went back for a second time as far as I know.
Yeah.
Is it Temtem?
It's called Temtem. Let's call a spade a spade. Because it's difficult. 2v2 it takes a lot of brain power, and I think the reason why Pokemon is still successful, even after the controversy that was Sword and Shield, it sold so much. It's because people could just pick it up and have a good time, and if you want to have a more difficult time, you can impose it on yourself. But like with Temtem, it's like, oh no, you're gonna have a serious ass time the whole time. Mm-hmm. That being said, maybe the gym battle should be 2v2 and the exploring should be 1v1 or something. Like they actually did it this time.
Yeah.
Where the 8th gym is a VGC battle, which I thought was really cool.
It was the hardest one of the 8. Like it's like, oh, his Pokemon are actually working together in a
cohesive manner.
Yeah. Like, oh, I have to actually think about how to deal with his team. So
the game really doesn't prepare you for the online world, but then again, keeping it separate might be for the best.
Maybe, yeah. At least the battle tower is there to like kind of, really follow those rules. I do like though that they are incorporating the rules of the tournament or like competitive scene into their game though, because at least there is some sort of connection that you can transition to.
Yeah, before to play this kind of rule set in previous gens, you have to go to events. I don't even know if every game had this in the online ladders, because I think online ladders really only ever started in the 5th generation, and I don't know if they had the official rule set in that. I think it was just like 6v6 1-on-1 kind of thing.
Yeah,
which I used to play a lot of that, but I've come to realize it's just a lot less interesting, and to the fact that, like, to play that rule set, you have to go to Smogon, where they tier Pokemon from usage, because it's just such an unbalanced game. But when you put these unbalanced Pokemon in a 2v2 setting, you get cool scenarios like Blastoise suddenly being good because it got new moves and you can actually use it.
Man, Water Spout's really fucking dumb.
Yeah, you get stuff like Pachirisu winning the World Championships because it just slotted well in a team. You get stuff like that.
Wait, is that real life?
Pachirisu won a World Championship because it worked so well in a dude's team. He brought it out to the finals too.
Is this the only guy using Pachirisu at Worlds?
At Worlds, I believe it was the only guy. It wasn't like a super niche pick because it has Lightning Rod, which redirects lightning attacks. So it's like there's some places where you'd want to use it.
It's just like was it just like, all right, this is what meta and everybody's using, but Pachirisu is like the one counter.
Exactly. Like the guy's team had a Gyarados. He's like, I need something to protect and support Gyarados because that's the core of my team. How about Pachirisu?
That's amazing.
And then this generation, like, because of 2v2, you get Pokemon that have never been good, just kicking ass. Like Togekiss just rules now. It's the most used Pokemon. It slaps. Incineroar in 1v1 is not good. In 2v2, it's god. There's stuff like that.
Togekiss has always been good since Battle Revolution. I played this online match once
where you flinched people to death.
Yeah, no, I didn't get to do a single attack the entire match. Just maximum flinch, and I was like, this guy's fucking cheating. What's going on here?
That's the strat for Togekiss. Serene Grace with Air Slash and another Sass Effect upper that item on, and you just flinch everything to death.
Well, now you use its super luck to get like 50% critical hits.
Yeah, with Dazzling Gleam, you just double hit everything.
You use Follow Me to redirect attacks. It's good. It's a good time.
Yeah. Look, here's all I know.
Charizard.
Ever since first grade, all I need is fucking Hyper Beam. You know what I mean? I just need Hyper Beam and Fire Blast. That's all I need.
Well, guess what, Bradley? Hyper Beam's actually used sometimes in VGC, ironically enough.
Oh, fuck, I knew that.
It's like unused in 1v1, but because it just works sometimes in VGC. It just works. Also, Charizard is actually good because it.
Of course it is.
Gigantamax Charizard is very good.
I need G-Max Blastoise to have attacking modes with my Turtle Bait against Turtle Bait. I just need Blastoise to be.
I just need Blastoise to use Frost Slam.
By the way, that reminds me. Can you breed me a Blastoise and give it to me, please?
Yeah, you want a Rain Dish Blastoise or a Torrent Blast? I have both.
I think I need to double check what I need, but I'll let you know.
I think you want Rain Dish, but
I think so too. That's the one that you heal
heals
from
in the water.
What's Water Torrent does?
Huh?
What's Water Torrent? What does it do?
Water Torrent? What are you fucking talking about?
Water Torrent.
Oh, Torrent raises your water attacks if you're below a third. It's what they start with.
Yeah, I think I want Rain Dish because Water Spout is only useful when you have full health.
Yeah,
so,
Rain Dish is good. Well, Joe, I'm glad you're liking it.
Yeah.
I'm glad my story got you going, and I'm gonna be more prepared for a future tournament now that I don't have to scramble so hard to get a team.
Hey,
Persona 5 Scramble.
I have a very important announcement that this can be separated from this Pokemon talk.
No, it's part of Pokemon now.
No, it relates to Tiger King.
Okay.
Oh,
An official announcement. The Tiger King and I, a follow-up 8th installment of Tiger King, hosted by Joel McHale, set to debut on April 12th.
April 12th.
That's 3 days, baby.
What the fuck is this? Is it gonna be on Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
same day. That's the same day when Zipper leaves. Thank God.
Thank God.
Hey.
Wow, good segue.
Fuck Zipper.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's talk about fuck Zipper. Whatever, we'll just roll
Okay.
right into it.
Zipper King.
Animal Crossing still going.
Animal
Yeah.
Crossing never had PvE. You've never been able to fight the villagers, but you should, because this rabbit needs to die.
They took it away after the first day, but everybody still hates this character.
Wait,
He mentioned that
is he gone? I haven't noticed
Yeah.
him in my town, but I haven't played too
showed
much.
shows up on the first day of the event and says like, "Hi, I'm here to hide some eggs. Don't
I
tell
think-
anybody I'm here."
I think so there were 2 patches that night, and I think they patched him out that night at like 1 a.m.
Well, okay, first of all, we're talking about Animal Crossing. I need to say this so I can split this in the video later. We're talking about Animal Crossing, and we're talking about the Bunny Day event. That kind of unfortunate that this came out so early.
Yeah.
It killed a lot of the vibes from that first week. Bunny Day event is an event where a character called Zipper shows up in your town and replaces a lot of the resources with eggs. And cool, you can take these eggs and you can make furniture. The furniture is horrible. It's all awful. There's not a single good one, except maybe like...
I like the balloons. The balloons are nice because they're a little bit festive and you can put them around.
I don't know, man. Shit does not slap.
Here's the fucked up thing about Zipper. I like Animal Crossing because everything in it is cute, and there are a ton of bunny villagers in Animal Crossing, and they're all adorable. But Zipper is like some other inferior race of bunny that
He looks like
uggo as fuck.
he
Here's
looks
the-
like he's straight out of Five Nights at Freddy's.
He does.
I kind of love Zipper because he's not a bunny. He's something in a bunny suit.
He is, and that's
Yeah.
what's
And
terrifying.
I think that's fascinating.
He claims it's not a costume, but I don't believe him.
I don't believe him. Also, what's cool about Zipper, if you go into camera mode and you walk out of frame, but then you can move your camera independent to your character when you're in camera mode. If you look at Zipper after you've walked away from him, he like slouches and then like lets his act go, and then he acts completely different off camera.
Whoa,
He starts
That's
like
so
walking
cool.
normally.
that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is the most interesting thing in this game so
Yeah,
far.
that's really interesting. And then if you do that after he slouches, he takes his head off, and he's actually Mario.
Now, unfortunately, the actual event is not fun.
It's not.
Though, isn't there supposed to be like something on the 12th?
Yeah, something crazy.
Hot take. So Mr. Rossetti is resigned to helicopter duties, right?
Yeah.
I think this might be either Mr. Rossetti's second job or his son.
Ooh.
He would be ranting. If he was Mr. Rossetti, he'd be ranting.
Dude, he's got to make ends meet.
He's got
Here's
to
what
make
I
ends
want.
meet now.
If they want to make this game elevated to a new height, we need to at day 13 of this month, you walk into the beach and it's Zipper's clothes out in the wild. And it's like you have like this PC murder mystery where like no one died, but now you have this cool mystery of like who was Zipper.
Yeah.
And it's a randomized townsfolk in your town, and you have to like look at clues that they put into the game that they randomize into locations to find who was your Zipper.
Oh man,
That would be the shit. That would be so good, but they won't.
So
Have fun terraforming your land, suckers.
other than like the eggs being annoying and like taking up resources, because I think that's annoying for everybody.
Yeah.
One of our friends actually put on a fun little event that was an Easter egg hunt,
Oh,
and it was around her town, and she like set up Easter eggs, and she was like, all right, you get a point for every egg, and then you get like 7 points if you find a star piece.
oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and the star pieces were really well hidden, like behind stuff, like where your camera really couldn't get in there. Like some of them, I think Bradley had to like do some like golden sun like puzzle platforming to actually get to a star piece.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we all dressed up in egg costumes. It was a fun day, and she had prizes. I think one of the prizes was like 200,000 bells.
Oh, you could just give that away.
Yeah. Another was like 2,000. Like I think it was like 2,000 turnips. Was how much was it, Bradley?
She gave me like 9 stacks of turnips, which I was then able to sell for about 400,000 bells.
Wow.
Yeah. And then she had cherry blossom stuff that was hard to get. Like I got cherry blossom wallpaper, which is animated and it's really cool.
How do you get that stuff? I've
They're
collected
in
cherry
balloons.
blossom.
That's the other thing. They're in balloons, but they're
Yeah.
not in the egg balloons. They're in regular balloons.
About those patches you talked about, Tyler, one of those patches was confirmed to reduce the spawn rate of eggs.
Yeah.
But they didn't have to remove my creepy boy.
I
hate his work, but I like his mystery.
He says in the first day that he's only there for the first day. He's going to show back up on the 12th. Don't tell anybody he's there.
That's super creepy. He's like, don't tell nobody I was here. Don't tell nobody. He needs to be one of your villagers. You take it off. It's my penguin guy who works out a lot, like every other character.
Stacked on top of each other.
That would be great. Yeah, Timmy and Tommy.
Yeah,
were him. Sure. Well,
all right. Yeah,
that's Animal Crossing. Bradley, what you got? Because you play this a lot. What are your projects these days?
Yeah, I've played this game every single day since it came out. Probably the shortest amount of time I've spent on it in a single day is about 3 hours.
Wow.
Like I have you know what? How many fucking hours do I have in this game? Let me grab my
Everyone grab your Switches and get your... Actually, you don't have to. I'll get your hours count.
I think I'm over 100 hours.
My sister's room.
I got you, Joe.
I'm sitting at 110 hours or more.
Damn, boy.
I'm at 105.
Joe is at... Uh-oh. Hello? Technical difficulties.
It's all Circle Jerk.
Oh, hello. Hey.
Circle Jerk.
He's back.
I'm back. The recording's still going. It came in with you saying Circle Jerk.
Circle Jerk.
My internet went down for a split second, and I'll have to remember to cut this out, which I won't.
Speaking of that, my dad wants to start listening to our podcasts.
No way.
No.
That's a mistake.
There's nothing for him there.
I know.
Nobody wants to listen to our podcast. Not even the people who do.
We were talking about Animal Crossing hours, which, Joe, you have 40. You have 40. Yeah.
Okay, that's respectable.
Respectable.
That's still my Persona hours, but granted, I've reached half of that in 3 days with Persona. So.
Well, there's no play limit aside from your own lifetime.
Yeah, sure.
I'm at 35, so we all got a lot of hours here in this Animal Crossing world. And hopefully the next events are cooler. I'm excited for whatever they got for Halloween.
I hope 4th of July has something. I think we get some really cool, like, silly patriotic gear by how we'll actually get that.
There's a few things I'm really hoping for from events. One of them, whenever April came about and we got all these cherry blossom trees, they introduced a new recipe to the game, the Cherry Blossom Wand, which the wand is a really cool tool that is brand new to New Horizons and allows you to quickly swap outfits. I was like, oh, that's cool. This is like a seasonal wand, and there's even an entire category for craftable items that are seasonal. So I'm interested to see what other seasonal furnitures we get, and also, like wands,
Firework wand. Firework.
Other things from events. 2, every single Animal Crossing game, every single one, all the way back to GameCube, has had a line of Nintendo-themed furniture.
Right.
It'll be like Red Shell, Master Sword, Triforce, R-Wing. And because of the nature of a lot of those games, like there weren't patches or like Wi-Fi gifts or anything. They were just in the game from the start. New Leaf, the previous game, had a lot of the Nintendo furniture in at the start, and some of the Nintendo furniture was like one-time event items. Like there was an event where you could get the Master Sword. New Horizons right now doesn't have any Nintendo items except for like the Nintendo Switch. So I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna do more event items, because New Leaf had a bunch of events. Like there would even be region specific events, like, oh, or if you were in Japan, you could get like a vending machine styled off of this one Japanese franchise or something.
I feel like they're holding back a lot with this game, which is kind of an exciting thought. Like, who knows? Hopefully they are.
And then like, a lot of people are also hoping there's kind of some, like, there's like some very staple characters and buildings in Animal Crossing that have not shown up yet that are in like every fucking game. Like Brewster always has.
Yeah.
Some people are like, oh, I wonder if eventually you'll be able to get Brewster somehow. So I don't know.
I heard Ruber Brewster might be showing up soon, which I'm excited about. So here's the thing. I hope they held back a lot because, first of all, I know it's pretty commonly known that you can get an upgrade to the store, to Nook's Cranny.
Yeah.
That actually can't happen after until 29 days after you've actually played the game for a month.
Yeah.
You're a dirty time jumper.
I feel like they're trying to get you to play the game over that span of time, because in previous games, upgrading the store is based purely on how much money you have spent there. Mm-hmm. So if you had enough bells, you could just fully upgrade the store in 4 or 5 days. Like just upgrade it once per day by spending enough money in there.
Which I'm very down with, because I play Destiny a lot, and they do a lot of time-gated stuff in that. Mm-hmm. And it gets pretty stale, but since this is a more creative game, there's a lot of stuff to do. Like if you want to move a house, it takes a full day to do it. Or if you want to move a house up to a ledge, but you want that ledge to be where the house is, it's like, all right, first you got to move the house, then you build the ledge, then you move the house back. And it's that's 3 days worth of work right there. But I'm okay with that. I get to play this at my own pace. I'm going to make what I want to make.
I think the difference between the two is power progression. Like in Destiny, the whole point is to get a power progression.
That was just a time gate metaphor.
I know. What I'm saying is that the reason people get really upset with the time gates in Destiny and other things like that is because you've essentially stopped the power progression that they're trying to get through. Whereas New Leaf, they feel more like mini events that are happening in your town, and they don't stop your creative process.
These are different ways to play. Most of the time gated weapons aren't that good.
Yeah.
People just think they are conceptually, but also I think Animal Crossing always dies down a lot over the summer. There's usually not as much stuff to do. There's mosquitoes that your character gets bit by a lot. Ew. But also think of it this way. They've been having a lot of experience with Pocket Camp, which is a mobile game that is built all around retaining players over periods of time. So I'm excited to see how that transitions over, and I hope it does become a little mobile-y, so I can just have something to pick up my Switch for every day.
It's the perfect game for mobile incremental additions.
Yeah, I think Tyler's right. I think Pocket Camp was more of an experience, an experiment than anything else.
Yeah, make it a murder mystery. I'm saying everyone's gonna love it. There's gonna be so many tweets about it, all over the place. Just
Carol Baskin in a zipper costume. Yes.
There you go. Cool. That's Animal Crossing. Surely next event, if it's poppin', we'll be talking about it again. I'm sure.
We just turn into an Animal Crossing podcast where we just talk about daily, weekly
no,
stuff.
please, please no.
So, if we stop.
Joe, you and I have been playing a little game called One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. Something we've been very excited about for a long time. And to be honest, it was better than even expected. It's such a good game.
It is. It's really funny because, like, March rolled around originally, and March was stacked with games.
Yeah, March.
It was going to be Cyberpunk. It was going to be
Final Fantasy 7.
Final Fantasy 7 was going to be in March originally. Something else also that got delayed later.
Animal Crossing and Doom were in March. That happened.
Those happened, yeah. But like Pirate Warriors 4, man, like coming up to it was the thing I was most hyped about, which was shocking.
That is a deceptively good series.
Yeah. Pirate Warriors 4 is a Muso game. It's like Dynasty Warriors or Hyrule Warriors or Fire Emblem Warriors. The basic concept is you pick a character and you beat up like 1,000 dudes at once, and you're running around like treating territories and doing a bunch of other cool combos while you play it. This game takes
it's a very simple formula that they've stuck to. But Joe was about to say
is like they really took this formula and really twisted it a bunch in really good ways, I feel.
Yeah.
Like for the biggest change is that, so usually in these maps, in these Dynasty Warrior games, the maps are like just squares with like mini squares inside of them that are territories that you have to capture. Now they are more like organically made terrain pieces, and your territories aren't just squares; they're like actual like elements of a map that you have to capture and everything.
The maps in this game are kind of amazing. There's so much detail. Yeah. Bradley, okay. Joe, you could play through the. Oh, I heard no. Maybe he said yo.
He said yo.
Okay, I was like, Bradley, no. So there's a map here that's Alabaston Impel Down. As you're playing that Impel Down map, you are literally in the location. Sorry, or in Annie's lobby. Sorry, you are literally in the location that the Straw Hats are in the arc you're currently reading. You can pick out locations. You can go to Jabra's like garden where he's sleeping. Yeah. You can go to the kitchen where Chopper is fighting Kumadori. You can go to the bottom where Luffy's fighting Lucci. You have all the Buster Call ships all around the marine ships.
This is like one large map, and you can run from one of those locations to the other. It's
fascinating. You're in the Tower of Justice, and it's super confusing because it's like it's multi-layered. It's fascinating. They did such a good job.
Yeah, and then there are other islands that are later in the series that are also really good. Like the one from not the latest arc, but the arc.
Names don't really like.
That's true.
The Whole Cake Island map and the Dressrosa map are amazing. It was just so nice to run around in these environments, which is something I never thought I'd say about a Warriors game.
Yeah, so like Warriors games were like generally flat. They were all just like on one even level, and you just kind of went down corridors basically.
Yeah. They
added so much verticality to this game. It's awesome. And part of that happens to do with like the new like what are they called? Like they're not styles, but like every character now has are they called styles?
Every character has like a style that they're the kind of character they are.
They're a type. They're a typing, I think that's what they're called. Okay. So which was also a really cool addition to this game because each of those different types play differently. And it makes each of those characters feel more like their characters.
Each character already plays differently, but then among those, you also have types where it's like an archetype that your character tries to fall into. And it's really interesting because then you have flying type or sky type. Yeah. Sky types can just, when they go into their burst mode, they just fly. We should actually bring up that there's air combos in this. And that's very different from a Warriors game where now you can press X mid-combo, PlayStation controllers, you press X mid combo, and you launch the opponents into the air, and then you have air attacks. which is a completely different moveset. Some characters have entire air combos. Some characters just have like unique air attacks. And you can dash in the air using a like Zelda Skyward Princess, like, or actually more like Breath of the Wild stamina bar. And you can just do these amazing combos from ground to the air, and flying characters just have completely crazy air combos. They can dash infinitely in the sky. You got speed characters that don't use much stamina. Technique characters can go from square to triangle back to square, which is a very unique combo route in these games. Just they made so many changes that are good. Also, you have attacks mapped to like holding R1 and pressing one of the face buttons, which from what I know is new, but I heard that the Berserk game also has something like that. Bradley's played it, so I don't know. Do you remember, Bradley?
No.
Okay. Well, it's a big deal for the Pyrowares game because it makes it feel more like an action game, like a Devil May Cry light. Except now you have 40 characters, and each one of them is not nearly as deep as one Devil May Cry character. But having this huge roster of characters is a really cool thing.
And you say they're not deep, but that doesn't mean they're not like fun to play as and don't feel unique when you play them.
No, yeah, there's definitely stuff that you can do with depth. Like there's a surprising amount of depth in these games when you're in the harder maps, and you have to like optimize what you're doing and your positioning and stuff. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Another cool thing they did is character scaling. This is the first One Piece game where characters are like their actual sizes. So you have like later in One Piece, you get these characters that are so tall and so big. And in this game, they are literally that size, and you are just this monster on the battlefield, and it makes you feel like a One Piece. You know, like it's there's a character that me and Joe both refer to him as Sex. He's the main fight in the Whole Cake Island arc. He plays like buttery smooth. It's so good.
And it's crazy because like there are other characters that are that size, and they're a lot more like clunkier. And, like, and you're like, oh, I guess all characters of this size just play like that. And then you play this character, and you're like
just flipping and dipping and turning into his shit, and it's so good. And he's got so many cool little mechanics. But then you have the big boys in One Piece. There's those big pirates that show up, and you get to play as all of them, and they are monsters. They have actual full transformations that you have to unlock, which I haven't even unlocked yet. But their starting moveset is already so monstrous. I can imagine.
That's another thing too that this game does is that a lot of One Piece characters have transformations. And this game does a really good job of like when you transform, you get a whole new moveset, a whole new like special moveset, and it makes that character feel unique to the point where you even change types sometimes when you change parts.
Like the Luffy I play, you get to replace certain moves for other moves. I don't go in with a super, and instead I go in with multiple transformations, and I'm just transforming into different movesets the whole fight. And it's just really fun. Oh man, that whole system with customizing your moves is great.
It's tons of fun. In terms of negatives, like it's like just to be fair,
the camera's crazy sometimes. I'll say
the camera's crazy. The camera's the worst part of the game. I honestly like it could be very irritating. Like keep track of something on your screen. You have to really manage it. Yeah, if you hit L1, it snaps it back to whatever you locked onto. I realized, which is really good. Yeah. But like it goes crazy, and I think part of that is because they have these huge models on the screen, so they have to make a camera that counts for not only these big models but the small ones too.
Yeah, you have to count from the big characters to Chopper, and it's like this wide range in size.
I think some of the missions can get really repetitive and samey, but
I don't know. That's never been a problem. Well, that'll be a problem you hear a lot. That's not a problem for me. Because the story missions are really good in this game because they're shorter than in 3. 3 had long-ass missions.
They cover whole arcs in one mission. Like, oh, my God.
Here they break it up, and it also gives you situations where it's like, oh, this mission you can only play as Usopp. and you have to deal with it. It's like, oh, cool,
Yeah.
yeah, let's do it.
They I think they did really good on the story mission selection. The problem being is that after you beat the story, there's no point to going back to the story other than just to play.
Well, you could play it on super hard and grind for berries and stuff.
I could also just play on super hard on the treasure maps.
Yeah,
and just play whoever I want.
It, like most warrior games, I think the game starts after the story. Personally, I have way more fun with these games once you get to the other mode that's not the story, and it's just like small, fun missions that are like what ifs. And this game has a whole variety. That being said, I am slowing down on them, so that way when the DLC comes, I still have some give. I don't know if they're adding more missions. I hope they do. There's a shit ton of missions.
Also, I realized that some missions unlock other missions even though they don't tell you. Like, there's a whole arc about, of a character trading
other characters,
other characters, and it's like a 3 or 4 mission arc that you can go through.
I think that's really cool. Man, they made some of the story fights feel so hype too. Like, I felt really good in that Dressrosa fight and that Whole Cake Island fight.
Yeah. And then you have, of course, also the worst part of the story is the last arc, which is kind of like current arc that we're reading in One Piece, and which hasn't finished, obviously, so they have to make something up.
Yeah, and you can tell that they started writing that story early in that arc, where we have reveals and characters now that they could have added. Anytime they need to wrap, like, to make an arc. They did this for Pirate Warriors 3 and 2 as well. They made the current arc a what if. They're like, okay, let's add Aokiji to it. Let's add that one character that everyone likes to it. Let's just throw all these characters in.
This character's back for some reason.
This character's here. Is Blackbeard in yet? No? Okay, just throw him in. Just throw everyone in that they can to make it an epic finale.
The only difference is, unless something gets revealed in the current arc, I don't feel as salty in this arc as I do in finishing Pirate Warriors 3 because of what gets revealed at the end of the Dressrosa.
Oh man, that was a terrible time to end it because both of the main fighters had so much moveset potential to still show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like how this story ends though. For a what if story, it was pretty cute.
They made up a cool move.
The way that they beat both of those main villains was really good. I enjoyed it. Yeah,
and they came up with a cool move at the very end. I was like, oh, okay, that's a reasonable move to throw on that character.
Yeah. No, I hope that move becomes canon. Actually, that's a really cool move.
Yeah. But anyways, I think if you really like One Piece and you've caught up with One Piece, you should give this a try. Unfortunately, Bradley, you can't play this game until you're older.
Bradley can play Alabasta and Impel Down, and then Eddie's Lobby.
What? Every time
their names are similar to me. I don't know why.
No, they're not.
They're two words that are weird words. Anywho, they're both great arcs. You get to play in the Alabasta Square, and you go up to the tower to stop the bomb, and you go to the catacombs to fight Crocodile. It's great.
Yeah. And you get to do Gum Storm. Gum Storm really good.
You get to do it all. Actually, Luffy's moveset in this game is fucking nuts. They crammed so many moves into this rubber butthole of his. It's just all in there. If you like One Piece and you're caught up, play this. If you're not caught up, you'll get massive spoilers just all over the place.
Spoilers. Yeah.
If you like Warriors games, this is the best one.
If you don't feel like catching up and reading One Piece, just play Warriors.
No, that's horrible because it doesn't cover every story, every arc.
Skip 3 arcs, like a character that shows up in an arc, they skip, and now he's just there.
Yeah, to cover it, in this arc they cover Alabasta, Enies Lobby. They cover the big arc before the time skip. Then they cover. I think then it's just Dressrosa, Whole Cake, and Wano, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they skip a ton of arcs. No Skypiea, which means no Eneru, but I hope they add him as DLC because he's really fun to play. That's Pirate Warriors 4. every day I'm like, man, I should play some Pirate Warriors 4, and usually I do. Because it's so easy to just jump in and do a mission.
Yeah.
Also, worth noting, the online in this is pretty great, aside from no private slots.
Another negative. There's no private lobbies in this game. It's a
So
huge negative.
Me and Joe have to coordinate to play together, but playing together is freaking great. The system is amazing. They have these bounty missions where you and 4 players are playing, and as you're completing missions, your bounty's going up, so it's a versus kind of thing. But it's also cooperative. Yeah, it's fun. Good game. Can't wait for the DLC to be announced, which now we know the first character. Which is exciting.
Yeah.
Why don't you boys tell me about this Summer Wars thing?
It's a good fucking movie.
It
all started 20 years ago. With a little ditty called Digimon the Movie.
Okay.
And that's not even bullshit either, because allegedly the Digimon movie was this creator's prototype for the Star Wars plot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was skeptical at first. I was like, yeah, the movies are similar, but like, come on. And then we watched both of them back to back the other night, and I was like, this is like beat for beat the same plot elements. Like, it's kind of insane.
But Summer Wars is way better.
Summer Wars is way better because, like, here's the thing. I love Digimon. I'm very nostalgic for it. Watched the anime a million times. Played a ton of the games. I think I think it fucking is kind of dumb. I think it's,
Whoa, is that okay to say?
Yeah.
Debatably, I get more enjoyment out of Digimon than alternatives like Pokemon, even though I fucking love Pokemon. But I will admit, it probably has a higher barrier to entry just because it looks so much more stupid.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Digimons themselves, because I think they look awful.
Kind of everything about the franchise.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it had like a better plot.
I mean, it does, but
that's not a high bar, is it?
Also, like, we were talking about this during the fucking Digimon movie where someone would ask a question about the plot, and I'm like, I think you're thinking about it too hard. We drew a comparison between the Digimon movie and Kingdom Hearts, where I can't remember if it was Joe or Tyler's like, how did he go into the computer screen and now he's in the digital world? And I'm like, I can't answer that because the writers can't answer that.
That's where you're wrong. That's where you can't make that comparison with Kingdom Hearts, because Nomura can answer everything somehow, and it won't make sense.
It's important to note, though, that the Digimon movie that we watched is actually 3 Digimon movies stitched together in an hour and a half.
Oh yes.
Wow.
So we were watching it, and I think it was Nathan who did. No, it was either Nathan or Alex. I don't fucking know. One of them like decided to look up the background of this movie because we knew there was something up with it, because like
It did make sense.
the first and second half of the movie are just animated very differently and follow totally different characters.
Oh, interesting.
So
Yeah.
this was in Japan. These were 3 separate movies that were all their own deal. But I think whenever they were bringing these over to America, they decided to stitch these 3 movies together. And apparently they cut out a total of 40 minutes of footage spread out between them, so it would all fit in an hour and a half.
Oh
and
my
they
god.
wrote dialogue so that they would all have like, they would be loosely connected and you could watch it as one movie.
That's crazy. That's horrible.
Yeah. This movie gave me a migraine, Willer. I was about to kill myself.
Wow, I can't believe Summer Wars is so bad.
Yeah. And it's interesting because
This is Digimon.
I know, that's what happened to Summer Wars.
I think they I also think they tried to make it more comedic than it was supposed to be in the English version, because there's a part where this character Davis is like really actually fucking sad.
He's having
And
a
then
meltdown.
Willis says something to him and it does like a really abrupt cut and he's not crying anymore. He's like, I'm okay. And I was like, I feel like in the original movie that was probably several minutes of Willis like having a heart-to-heart with
How
David.
could I do this?
They skipped it in the English version.
So Summer Wars.
Yeah, but let's talk about Summer Wars.
Summer Wars.
Please.
So this movie came out 10 years ago, 2010. December Christmas movie, actually, and it involves a young math high school student who solves a really complex equation and then puts the virtual world's AI in a position to destroy the Earth. So it's a lot of fun. It starts off with this so it has, what's the name of the virtual world that they have in it?
It's not
Oz.
That's
Oz.
Oz.
So they have this virtual world called Oz, which like runs everything. Like basically, your social security. This is your social security card. Is Oz. It like has your identity, your career that you work with it. Like
the best comparison is if you watch Ready Player One, and they have that whole kind of like the whole world's connected to the Oasis now, and everyone wants the Oasis. It's the same kind of concept where society has adjusted itself to all run through this one program or huge system. Like it does everything. It's basically like the super internet.
Imagine if like Facebook made like
The internet
software you used at work to like keep track of stuff. Like if Facebook made like Microsoft Word and Excel and all that shit, and then like Slack and all these other applications, but it all is like one place. And that's like how it's tied into people's work and stuff. So it involves the main character who he's like a coding junkie for Oz. He like he does like server maintenance and IT work for the company, and he does it like part-time as he's a high school student. And this really cute girl comes up, and she's like, yo, I have a job for somebody. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Doesn't give any context to their relationship. But he's like, yeah, I'll do it. So he becomes the summer simp, basically.
Yeah. He tricks her. She tricks him to coming to a family reunion and introduces him as her fiance.
Oh, the classic.
I didn't know. I guess we can go full spoiler heavy because this movie's like 10 years old. But
Willer wants to read it. Watch it.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, you can. It's at your own discretion. I don't mind some mild spoilers.
But this entire family reunion is like this chaotic event because this family apparently is like one of the like prominent families from Japan, and they're like eons old and everything, and they were like back in like the original like wars of Japan, like feudal Japan.
Yeah,
and
they're a long-lived family with like big ties into like its like surrounding areas, and they're basically like the Bruce Waynes of Gotham. I would say the Waynes of Gotham were like basically the town like built around their like whole castle that they have because they were the feudal lords of the area. So it's a huge family, and it's kind of like a half fish out of water like family comedy and like a cyber like detective kind of thriller kind of deal.
Yeah. So our fellow simp, he's there, and he's like really good at math. It's made very early on that he was supposed to go to the Math Olympics for Japan as a representative for Japan. So already that's like, not only is he good at math, but he's like good enough for the entire, like Japan, smartest country, and then he's like one of the smartest math people in Japan. Boy's up there.
Smart boy.
But he's still an introverted, like very awkward person. And it's very easily shown. It's not cringy at all.
Thank God.
Which I really like because I just watched No Game, No Life.
Oh, cringy.
Yes, very cringy. These characters seem very natural. The animation's very nice.
Oh yes.
It feels like it looks a little bit like Ponyo, I guess, in its animation style.
Mm-hmm.
I bet animation heads would scoff at you.
I think it is Madhouse, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Willer's eyebrow.
Ponyo is not mad.
Real-
I'm just trying to save you, dog. I have no horse in this race. I'm just
No. But it's nice, and I don't know, it's fun. It's about like they have these nice little cyber fights and everything, but it's like they're doing it. They don't go into the computer and accidentally fall inside, and they're not
there's
commanding Digimon to do it. Like they're playing video games and fighting in it.
It actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Mega Man Battle Network is really good. You're right.
Yeah.
That's the vibe.
What I really like about this movie was, so the movie opens up, and I watched this movie and it's like, why the fuck do they have to have this family reunion dynamic overlapping this like national crisis of like literally like this virus gets in and shuts down the entire country. Like he's screwing up stoplights and all this other stuff.
Is there
And
a reason?
I realized it's because family is so big and widespread that it stops people from coming to the family reunion because they're so integrated with the rest of the country. And it's just like it just shows you how like these minor like, and when it starts off it's very much like, oh, false alarms are going off around like power plants or whatever, or like the lights all are turning red at the same time, like stopping and going really quickly. They're like minor nuances, like not minor like complaints or just small like bumps in the road during the day, but it shows like the ripple effect it has when like if this stops somebody from doing their job, like what how it affects the rest of everyone else in their lives, you know. So I just thought it was a cool dynamic, a cool way of like,
it seems like a cool way to make a big big stake event small stake and relatable, where it's like,
exactly.
here's a single story that is occurring because of this travesty. It's like if you took the COVID-19 situation and made an unrelated story that's being affected by social distancing or something, like a wedding that can't go through, and et cetera because of et cetera.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, okay, that's a really good way. And like it gets very anime near the end of it when they're trying to solve this problem, but like it was tons of fun. All the characters in it, like they did a really good job writing this family and the dynamics of the family. Like it feels like what a big family is like in the real world as someone that has one. But I really enjoyed it a lot.
If you ever had a girlfriend and you go over there and those parents are like really pushy and they're like, "Oh, have you kissed her yet?" You know, it's that
My
type
family.
of family, and they put those types of awkward situations in there where it's like, "Oh, are they sleeping in the same room?" Or like, "Wink, wink, nudge, nudge," and then there's like that weird uncle who gives you a really hard time, and it's like, you're not good enough for her, and it's like really awkward. And then there's the uncle that the main female protagonist has a weird crush on, you know, like when you have to deal with that part with your girlfriend.
Yeah, I think
I was relating to that until the end there.
I kind of agree with Joe and Tyler. I think for me, the most impressive thing for me, aside from the animation in the movie, because it's fucking beautiful, is how natural the family feels. These feel like real people to me.
Mm-hmm. And it feels like the things that happen to them feels like a proper response that each of them would do in that big family. Yeah. Like there's one girl that's obsessed with the high school baseball team's like championship games, and that's all she wants to do is watch the baseball team win their game.
Like even when the world is ending, she's like, "Oh my, no, I need to go watch the fucking game."
It feels very realistic, where it's like, that's we're in the middle of a mass pandemic and people are just mad that baseball isn't playing, and like thousands and thousands of people are dying. And it's like, oh, you can't watch baseball on ESPN? Oh shit. You know, shame.
Damn, Tyler, throwing some shade. From what everything I know about this movie is that it has a similar aesthetic to a game called Digimon Cyber Sleuth, which is a game with a wonderful aesthetic. It's like a mix of this and Persona, from what I understand. That's a game I gotta play more of. I just can't get over the fucking Digimon designs. But aside from that, it's a really good RPG. I gotta check this out sometime.
Yeah, dude, just watch the first movie in the Digimon movie. It's like 30-40 minutes long.
I think I'll just skip to the Summer Wars if I'm allowed.
But yeah,
I have a little nostalgia.
One thing that I just want to bring up that connects the two of these movies, Digimon and Summer Wars, is that they're avatars in the virtual environment, and they do them the same, and that they have these like warmer like outlines on them in both movies, which I thought was a stylistic choice.
Yeah, they do these like really like bright orange outlines instead of black outlines for the characters while they're in the digital world, just so like it's good visually because like they're in the digital world.
Yeah.
But it also just looks really nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
And also like the main conflict, like the main bad guy and how they defeat said bad guy and what happens in the final few seconds before and after beating that bad guy.
Yeah.
Are like the exact same between the
Digimon
movie and Summer Wars.
Oh wow. Big inspirations.
Like literally the exact same.
With the family and what's going on in the background, exact same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the world's ending, but we should go cook food.
Yeah.
Okay, weird. All right, that's that's Summer Wars. Glad y'all liked it. All right. Lastly, we all watched a movie together, which was nice. The movie was Onward.
Pixar good.
By Pixar.
Yeah.
Pixar good.
The story of Onward basically is that what was Chris Pratt's character's name?
Lyle.
Boofy.
Barley.
Dreaming.
Barley and me.
Boofy.
Yeah. So Ian and Barley, on Ian's 16th birthday, receive a gift from their dead father, that basically a magic staff, and which gives them the spell to resurrect them for a day, so they can talk to him as like adults, basically. Unfortunately, something goes wrong, and they have to go on this quest to figure out a way to complete the spell. It's a nice little movie about brotherly love, relationships, and like what it means to be a father figure in someone's life. I think this movie has some good, like, touching moments in it. It has some terrible world building elements, but some really fun action sequences.
We can open with that because in the first scene, they're like, magic was awesome and everyone knew how to do it, but it was hard to wield. So instead we moved.
History lesson.
Yeah. So instead we moved on to industrialization, and I'm like, bitch. And later in the movie, they turn a Cheeto into a giant Cheeto. There's no way that magic would stop being used if you can make food bigger. That solves so many problems on Earth.
Yeah.
At some point during the movie, I was like, the initial setup for the movie is that, oh, industrialization was better than magic, so we got rid of magic. And then as the movie goes on, the characters are realizing, like, wait, magic's really fucking useful. Why did we ever stop using this?
Yeah.
It's really absurd because, like Willard said, like, they make a Cheeto bigger, they can levitate, they make bridges like that they can walk on, like they do a bunch of like
they revive people.
Yeah, you can bring someone back from the dead.
I literally told Brock, it's like, if you could bring someone back for a murder trial, imagine how crazy that would be.
Yeah.
Like,
imagine if Phoenix Wright was out right now on your Nintendo Switch.
So like, that's a big kind of disconnect. I feel you're just like, this. I don't see why you would stop using magic ever. I could understand.
But that aside, though the movie does have like a theme of going back to your magical roots a little bit. Not the whole society, but key characters in it go back to their natural magical roots. Where it's like, no shit, that's not a journey. Like, you should have never left.
Yeah,
it's got a little Brother Bear vibe to it.
Now, the other main theme is, like Joe was saying, the brotherhood and parental figures.
I really appreciated it. I thought it was really refreshing. Obviously, there are other movies and stories that do this kind of thing with the relationship between the two brothers, but I just really liked it here, and you don't see it every day, so I really loved it.
I can relate to this movie a lot, having a brother that is partially and mostly your father figure for most of your life. My problem with the movie was that I disliked every character. There's not a character I liked.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that is harsh, and I was shocked at that. I don't like both of the brothers. The Manticore sucks. Those pixies suck. The
mom?
dad is weird. The mom's okay.
I liked Barley, but he was why I watched the movie. Like
Barley lost me. Go on, Bradley. I'll say.
I was gonna say I wasn't super into the main character. I like Barley, but one of my big complaints with the movie is, especially in the first half, I feel like the plot was moving a little way too fast, and by the time they actually start their quest, I still didn't know why I was supposed to like the main character or root for him.
Yeah, all they give you is that, like, oh no, he's awkward and he hasn't found his place, but he's so extremely awkward and uninteresting, where it's like, why should I care? It seems like a personal problem at this point.
There's some Wars where when you're introduced to this character, you kind of immediately feel empathy because he's thrown into this like crazy situation of being around this big family, and you kind of see him having to struggle and recover. Like, okay, that's relatable. I can understand what it's like to like kind of be thrown into like this weird social situation. But like Tom Holland's character Ian, he's just kind of a loser, and
he has nothing going for him.
Yeah, he has nothing going. He feels like he doesn't feel like there's any motivation for him to be that way, other than he didn't have a father. Like it just still wasn't enough to like kind of make him seem like that.
Yeah. The brother lost me when he shows up midway through, like very early on in the car, and he like stops Ian from getting his, like, he was asking people to hang out with him, and the brother's just like, "Yo, Ian, what's up, bro?" And it's like, you're so annoying. Like, you could just wait and let Ian do his thing. And it's like, oh, the brother's inconsiderate. He has to learn. It's like, I just don't care about him anymore. He's a little too like, bro, I'm a fuck up, bro. Yeah. But like not in an interesting way.
I don't think Barley's like that. Barley's very much like the dad that thinks he's cool but not really cool. You know, he's kind of very lame. That's the vibe I got off from that character. Not that he was obnoxious. It was just like, I'm trying to be really cool for him, and I'm trying to like, you know, I think it's really cool and whatever, and he just doesn't get it.
And then the whole spell doesn't work. It's like, I can help, and then he just like jumps in the way. It's like, oh, Barley.
Yeah,
Tyler, you were gonna say something. I think I'm getting vibes. No? Okay, cool. Also, if magic is so hard to use, how come like the kid learns high-level spells within a day?
He learns what Barley described as the hardest spell in under 24 hours.
Yeah, the time span that they give for this movie is literally a day.
Yeah.
And he literally becomes the most powerful magician apparently in all time in like a day.
Yeah.
Maybe not all time, but he's definitely the fastest learning.
Yeah.
No, apparently he's like the only wizard now in existence.
That's true.
What's up with that? How come he can use magic? I might have missed the line.
There was just something like, you have to be born with the ability
to do
it.
Gift.
Yeah.
And then the movie is like, oh, look, Ian found his place on the earth after he's the one magician in a world where it's like magicians aren't like persecuted against. They're just not common these days. So it's like, oh, you get to be a special boy with no repercussions, and that's how you found your place on the planet.
Yeah, because here's the thing. You know, if it's a finding your place, you want it to be because of, you know, your character traits. And I will say, him doing this magic, there were moments where they explored how the magic is influencing him as a person. Like, whenever the mom meets the Manticore's like, oh, your son is fearless. And it's like, yeah, Barley. It's like, no, I was talking about the little one. So I enjoyed that moment. However, at the end of the movie, where we have finally reached the point where it's like, okay, the character has found his place. He has he feels accepted by his peers. The things his peers were saying to him didn't reflect his personality. Yeah. They weren't like, oh, you're so cool and confident now. It was, whoa, you used your cool magic to rebuild the school.
It's like Ian took steroids and came back throwing 40-yard bombs on the football field.
Yeah, they're just doing magic.
The takeaway for any kid in this movie is if you're really special, people will like you.
Yeah.
So search for that special thing and ignore your brother, because that's not the ending part of the movie, not the brotherly love. It's that if you're special and you look for it, people will worship you.
So I think
he does hang out with him at the end.
Yeah, I think one change that would have made this movie better is that if the character was actually Max Goof. Because the movie, Max is pretty popular. People like him. He's not the most popular kid in school, but he has his group of friends. He's got a girl that likes him. Like he's doing well for himself. Yeah, he's doing well for himself in the high school setting.
Kind of an asshole to his dad.
But he's kind of an asshole to his dad.
Which in this could be the brother. Sorry.
Just need to make Goofy movie again. That's all this movie needed to be.
That sounds more interesting.
Yeah. Here's the character. I can identify a little bit with Max because, like, you know, he has his friends. But you know, he wants more. Like, you know, maybe he has a crush on this girl, or he wants to be seen as cool. But he does have something going for him. The kid in this movie, I don't identify with him because he's just like a loser in every aspect, and I'm fucking cool. So,
well, here's the thing: like, no, even uncool kids have personalities. They have things. They have interests. Ian
Like,
is so white bread.
Yeah, like even like the nerdiest people have the people that they like to hang out with. Like they have their group. But
There's
D&D is
kids out
popular
there.
now.
Yeah, that's
Again,
true.
like they're like the only people who are isolated like he is are people in America who don't get the attention for like Asperger's, who are very like special and like can't like they have something mentally wrong with them.
yeah,
Oh, no.
like at this point, interests don't really isolate people anymore because, like,
yeah,
dirtiest shit, people will be like, "Oh yeah, I'm into that." But I feel like if you're isolated, it's more of like a
personal choice.
type-
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It would have been more interesting if there was something that socially made him an outcast. Like, there was no reason why people didn't like him. It was just that he was...
Like if his dad was like the jester of the town and he feels ashamed about him, or
if there was something... And here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are kids out there, maybe even listeners, who knows, all 100 of you out there, maybe one of you is like super isolated and lonely. But you know what? Those kids have aspirations and dreams and personalities and interests still. And like there's just more to a human being than what we saw from Ian.
Yeah.
He's just a kid who wakes up and has breakfast with his family and wants to see his dad for no reason. Like, I didn't even feel a strong motivation from seeing his
Never
dad
even
aside
knew
from
his
like
dad.
Yeah.
the motivation I got was like, I didn't get to meet my dad, so I want to see what that's like.
Like another thing that would have been a good motivator is that if so another thing is Barley only knew his dad for like 2 years, I
Yeah.
think. Another thing would have been like if Barley like had all of these memories about his dad and like it was kind of overshadowed Ian and made Ian feel like he was missing out on something. That would have been another kind of like thing, maybe.
Going back to the Max Goofy movie, which I haven't seen, but like, say Ian was like a pretty popular kid, but like deep down inside he had a lot of insecurities about when it came to stuff about familial stuff. Like, he didn't like people coming over. He didn't. He felt uncomfortable around dads and like people's houses when he went to hang out or something. Like, he had this part missing about him that he tries really hard to cover up. And then this movie is about exploring that with him and his brother who had a warm relationship with his dad. And I think that there's so many different places they could have taken that, but they were just like, hey, here's a character where hopefully anyone can relate to in some way because he's so bland and it makes him unrelatable as a result. Now, with all this slamming, I will say that there was 2 really good parts of this movie that I should praise after we've been talking so much smack. I really like the ending, how Ian doesn't get to see his dad because he's out there being Naruto. And I very much like the car death scene. I have a very soft spot for vehicles meeting their ends.
Yeah. Bad luck with it.
I think the
another
strongest
note-
part of the movie for me is definitely how like the conclusion of the whole father plot line and Ian making the decision he did. I like that.
I have 2 things.
Yeah.
One, y'all said in a much better way about the motivation being wrong for him being isolated than I did.
Yeah,
that was
maybe.
not
was not
conveyed
succinct.
properly on my part. But y'all said what I was trying to get.
There you
You're
go.
isolated. There's not something wrong with you. It's just
Yeah.
like we were looking for that motivation. Also, I'm not gonna say anything good about this movie because where the fuck did the cop cars come from?
Man!
Dude, fucking seriously.
Yeah.
Where the fuck did the cop cars come from?
It's like this area hasn't been built or anything. Suddenly there's like a whole squad of cop cars when the dad catches up.
Like
Stepdad.
it took the rest of our characters about 20 hours to get here, and then suddenly all these police officers from his town are also here.
There were so many weird plot contrivances, like, okay, the Manticore is suddenly going ham. Oh, the Pixies bumped into me. Time for this whole little Pixie sub-story so we can have a drive sequence.
Yeah. I will say One thing I really liked about this movie was like it's quote unquote rules for magic, where like every magic spell had kind of like a caveat to it, where like you had to focus on the item or else it's gonna like misspell and shrink something, or like you can't fly when you're disguised, or there was another one, or the bridge part I really liked too.
Oh, that was a good scene. You're right.
One of my favorite scenes, and normally I wouldn't bring this up in a review. I'm only bringing it up because a lot of our listeners are people familiar with Wild Bow.
Glamour time.
There was one scene in this movie that is like, it is one of the arcs from Pact, where you have our character who has disguised themselves with magic to talk to police officers, and they are not allowed to lie, and the disguise is like falling apart while they're doing this, and they're like, fuck.
But it has none of the Pact goodness where the characters start thinking they're the cop, which is the best part of the whole thing.
I was having a lot of fun with that scene.
Yeah, that was pretty.
But I really like the bridge thing too, because I don't know. I think they did they did a really good job of tying in these arbitrary rules of the magic into the relationship between these two characters, because the police officer asks Ian a question about his brother, and because he can't lie, whether he tells the truth or not, Barley is going to know what Ian really thinks about him.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Which
I guess I will say a positive thing. I think probably my favorite actual character is Barley, because I think he's very well portrayed as someone who made a life choice at an age where they're very influential, and those choices became like very apparent.
They became his personality, basically.
They became his personality.
I'm gonna get into magic, and then he became that guy.
Yeah. And if you've ever met somebody who's like a teenager and a really big history buff, I'm like, yeah, those things make sense. It's like, why are you tearing down this fountain in the middle of nowhere for no reason? It's a part of history. And it's like, it's small town too.
Yeah.
Like, the character makes sense to me.
That's a terrible thing, is that Barley as a character makes sense because he has motivations and he's believable. Like, oh, Barley likes magic and history. That's a relatable. He's obsessed with something. I get that.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything.
Yeah. No, I might have not loved Barley, but he's clearly the better of the two main characters.
Yeah.
Tom Holland, man. What's with Pixar and big-nosed characters?
No.
That's just their art style.
That's Tom Holland's character design for anything animated.
Yeah.
Well, no, but that's also like Pixar has the Cloudy with the Meatballs, Big Nose Man.
That's Illumination,
right?
I'm just saying that there's like this trend of big nosed boys. I saw a picture that's like every character is like a white, brown hair, big nosed boy.
Not as big as
some schnauzers out there.
That's actually Sony is Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Wow.
Really? Wow, I thought it was Illumination.
Man,
don't get me started on the Tumblr nose art style.
Yeah, Tumblr nose arts.
What?
We can end on a strong note, which is the dragon at the end looks awesome.
Yeah.
I really love that design for the.
That was a cool looking dragon.
I love everything about that dragon. The fact that when it roars, it's the school bell ringing is super cool. That it takes the face off of the school and just
it like breaks the face to move its eyebrows. I like it. It shoots fire. It could have been a little more inspired, but it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously not the Lonely Dinosaur, that other Pixar movie you've never heard of.
Yeah, I've heard of how much it bombed.
God, that movie's awful.
I think the only two Pixar movies I have not seen are The Lonely Dinosaur.
The Good Dinosaur, not The Lonely Dinosaur.
And it's lonely now because nobody remembers it exists.
That's
probably was the second one.
The other one was Cars 2. I've seen Cars 3, which
pretty good, right? From what I
heard. I won't say it's my favorite Pixar movie, but I really fucking love Cars 3.
Damn, he's just embarrassed to admit it.
I have the controversial opinion that I really, really like Cars 1. I think Cars 1's really good, and people Cars 2 is just awful. Don't.
Is that when they're spies?
Yep.
I only would have cared about Cars if it was a Kingdom Hearts world and we got Car Sora, so I don't care. We didn't get it, I don't care.
What is your favorite Pixar movie?
I think Wall-E has to be mine. Wall-E is fantastic.
Wall-E is so good.
Yeah.
I think like the one that I've had the
Story,
strongest emotional reaction to is Inside Out. Inside Out is the hardest I've cried at a piece of media in my life.
I still need to watch that.
I cried that movie so fucking hard, even though it doesn't. There's plenty of other Pixar movies that I like the setting and I like the plot points better, but for some reason that movie fucking kills me.
Would you be willing to rewatch Inside Out, Bradley? Or is that too much? Is that maybe not?
Even having seen the movie about a dozen times, like every once in a while, I'll just be like, I think I'll rewatch Inside Out tonight, and I'm like, yep, it still has not dulled for me.
Is it the one scene that makes everyone really sad that gets you?
Huh?
Is it the one scene
Oh yes,
makes...
you know the scene. You know which one it is.
Shoutouts to Toy Stories, all of them, but 3 has that scene with the furnace, which is far too cruel for this world.
I know. I could not believe what I was watching when that scene came up.
That scene is fucked.
God, I Pixar movies. Toy Story has a really soft spot in my heart for multiple reasons. I love Buzz Lightyear. Like I always wanted a Buzz Lightyear toy. I really like Up.
Oh, Up's so good.
Up is really
man.
good. Up is great because it's the story about someone like moving on and realizing there's so much more to life. It's basically like an anti-suicide note. Like, please don't give up. Like, there's so much more to do.
It's
just
interesting to have an old man protagonize.
It is.
Well.
It's a very unique movie.
The first 10 minutes of Up is like the biggest stab in the
Man,
heart.
compare that storytelling to the storytelling in the first 10 minutes of Onward, where it's just like, here's a text scroll of that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the opening of Up is some sublime
masterclass
movie re.
Yeah. What about you, Tyler?
Ratatouille is my favorite.
Dude, I like Ratatouille, man.
Ratatouille.
I like how very small scale Ratatouille is.
Man, for some reason, I really don't like Ratatouille, and
A
everyone
lot of
likes
people
it.
don't. A lot of
Ratatouille's
people...
another big nose dude.
It's such
It
a
is.
big nosed little fuck, that kid.
It
But-
is, and you know, a lot of people like do feel that way. A lot of people are like, "Yeah, Ratatouille's so meh."
I've never met everyone I know loves it. The problem, it's just not entertaining. It's not funny. It's kind of interesting here and there. There's so much. There's like dead air. Like, I don't know. It's a movie that made me very awkward when I watched it.
I really don't like the opening of Ratatouille. I think the Ratatouille like beginning part is like really slow and it kind of makes me rolls my eyes. But once we get to the part where like he gets to Paris and he's the chef and we're doing all of this relationship between the rat and Remy, not between Remy and whatever, Luigi, is that what his name is?
Yeah, Luigi.
Little Chef.
No, Little Chef is the rat, is Remy.
Oh,
It's Linguini.
Linguini, thank you. I think that's interesting. That the non-battle manga style at the end with the cook-off for the guy at the food critic, I think is really fun and interesting. Like, I really enjoy that movie. I really like the ending to that movie too. I don't like its opening. I really like its ending.
I like Patton Oswalt. I like him as a voice actor. I think he's a great voice actor, and he has such a good character voice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like my attraction to it. Is like I like the dynamic isn't as much between Ratatouille and Linguini. Like, obviously, hair pulling is very like that's the fantasy aspect of it. But other than that, it's the rat coming to struggle like to be a chef, and then he has like his imaginary Gusteau friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like that dynamic.
I really like the message at the end being that like the place that you think is the best place to end up that you think you'll end up being might not be the best place for you, but that doesn't mean you need to stop like doing your dreams.
Yeah.
That's something that's really wholesome and very realistic, and like, oh, this restaurant got shut down, they made a new one, and he's still a great chef. That, you know, it's realizing what your actual dreams are.
yeah. Do you think in like when it's sexy time with Linguini, if the girl pulls his hair, he goes like,
He starts chopping onions.
I saw that the other day. It's like, dude, during sexy time when Linguini gets his hair pulled, does he start making spaghetti?
That's what it was. That's what it was.
That's a good one.
Well, you know what? That was a good little discussion to wrap it up on.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for joining us on Roundabout Cast, episode 37. Until next time, goodbye.
Yeah.